And a very good morning to you all. Welcome to this brand new show brought to you by the Arsenal Therapy. This is our Arsenal Therapy preview show, which will be broadcasting every Friday. I'm gonna say every Friday evening because I do want to make this an evening show. I feel like all of our shows are in the morning, and so it'd be nice to have something in the evening. But yeah, so the premise of this show is to kind of look ahead to the next fixture and try and discuss a little bit more about our furry little friends who will be playing on the weekend. In this case, it is Everton, and I'm so glad to say that we've got Monty joining us for this show, our good friend Monty, and hopefully who we'll be seeing more of in the coming weeks. Monty, how are you doing this morning?
Good, mate. I'm good. The sun is out this morning. It's going to be a good day. Yeah, this is. We've got normal football coming back. The international break is finished. We've got a day until we can start watching the Premier League back on track. So yeah, it's a good day, mate. How are you, Firen? It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while actually since we've last spoken. It's been a very, very long time. And I was just saying off air, it's really good to see you. I know I say that to everyone, but genuinely, really, really good to see you. And you're just speaking about the weather. I'm just having a look. We've got like 2 days of sun
Hmm.
until it just, starts pouring down with rain
Yeah,
and stuff. Other than the football, any plans on the weekend?
not really. Pretty much gonna be working this weekend, but I am gonna go out, try and go see the missus, go for some nice food. Um, yeah, nice little chill. I'm cooking a breakfast. So yeah, what about you? Anything
That's what
nice
we
planned for you?
That's what we like to hear. I don't think so. A bunch of work, and that's kind of the story of my life.
Mm.
I don't know if you do know. I'm expecting a nasty little surprise in the next few months. So that's pretty much taken over my whole life at the moment, like
I can
mentally just
imagine.
drained, having thinking about it day and night. I haven't
Mm.
started any shopping, haven't bought anything. So in the next 2 weeks, I'm gearing up for like a really big shopping haul of shit that I need to buy.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I mean, but yeah, the weekend next couple of days are gonna be just nice and hot and sunny. So take advantage of
nice.
that. And obviously the football. Really, really excited that the Premier League is
Don't.
back and
Don't have to watch
excited to
Harry
see
Maguire
Arsenal back.
score on goals.
Unbelievable, right? But yeah, so as much as I enjoy watching the demise of our enemies, i.e. United, who are going through a really torrid time right now, long may that continue. The Arsenal are back, and I mean, in quite spectacular fashion. We have got Everton on the weekend, followed by a Champions League tie with PSV Eindhoven, and then a North London derby. So it's jam packed. I think after every 3 days we have a game. So let's start by talking about Everton. We might actually have a chat about PSV because I don't think we'll do a previous show for that. Start off with Everton,
Hmm.
who I mean, we don't have a very good record at Goodison Park. We did lose last season, and it was one of those results where I think we deserved to lose last
Sean
season there,
Dyche.
didn't we? We were outplayed. Yeah. Oh
Mm.
yeah, Dyche's first game, right?
Yeah, it's why that's where this podcast originated from. Sean Dyche beating us.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it wasn't a very, very memorable occasion for us.
Wasn't.
We lost that game. It was one of those. It was a blip, wasn't it?
Yeah,
That blip was that we turned. Oh, following that game, did we end up going on a really good run?
we
Or
did. We
okay,
did.
cool. But we never should have lost that game. But anyway, Everton, who managed to survive by the skin of their teeth are sort of doing the same thing. That theme seems to have continued
Yeah,
this
they're
season.
awful.
We'll start by looking at their the first four games that they've played in the Premier League. So they drew to Sheffield United, and before that they lost to Wolves at home, got battered to Aston Villa away 4-0, and on the opening day they lost to Fulham 1-0 at home. So they've got
Mm.
1 point. They're currently 18th in the league. I mean, the other two teams below them have zero, Luton and Burnley. Not a great start, but we know what it's like to play Everton when they're on such a bad run. For some reason, they seem to always beat us. I mean, what was it? They were
Mm.
like 15 games without a win last season or something like
Yeah.
that, and then came to us and they managed to beat us. So what are you expecting from Everton, having looked at these results? How confident can we be going into that game?
I think we can be confident. I mean, you got to think the game that they've played, they've only played, I think, one team in the top 10, and they got absolutely piped by Aston Villa 4-0. If I remember, I remember watching that game. They just, like, Emery just had their number. Um, I can expect a physical game. It'll be a physical game, the 50-50 battles. Um, I'll be quite controversial, and I know people want Fabio Vieira to start. I think it needs to be Havertz that needs to start this one just for the sheer size of him. Um, because when you got that midfield of Everton, they are very physical, and I just see Vieira getting bullied, and I think that was pretty much not far from what happened last year. I think you're going to see him organised. You're going to see an organised defending. They know they're going to low block, whereas like the teams where I think when they were playing Sheffield, they tried to go on the attack. Wolves, they wanted to open up the game and it didn't work for them. Um, Aston Villa, they tried to low block and they tried to counter, and Aston Villa just had their number. I think it's just going to be a game of 50-50 battles, a game of 50-50 battles that we need to win. And if we win it, we walk out that game 3 points easily. But if we let it get to our heads, and I think they're going to frustrate us, you know, whisper in your ears, try and get reactions, try to draw fouls, try to draw cards. I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be a good game. Um, but it's one that we need to keep our heads. We need to be professional. But I do expect a solid game. You know what it's like with Sean Dyche. Every time we've played Sean Dyche, low block FC. Low block
Mm.
FC, and they've unlocked us a few times. Just Sean Dyche in particular, they have unlocked us a few times. So yeah, we need to keep a good head on it. I'd also say that maybe we should try and experiment a little bit. Because with maybe Saka potentially got a little niggle. Maybe put Reece Nelson in. I think Reece Nelson would have the hunger, because this is a game where you want hunger in
Yeah.
this game. So yeah, get some players who want to really improve. But no, I think it'll be a solid game, physical game. What about you? You seen anything different or?
Well, I just wanted to have a look at like the fixtures in a little bit more detail and go through kind of what happened. I mean, I'm not an Everton fan, you're not an Everton fan, so I don't think we're following Everton as well as
You put
their
that
own
blue
fan
bottom of the
base will
table.
have. But yeah, yeah. So like going through the first four games and having a look at the stats really quickly, you can see here that the first game they've had more shots than Fulham, more on target, less on possession. Um, so it seems like the theme of this game was they generated a lot of chances, and I imagine through long balls,
Yeah,
as
I watched that
Dyche
game
loves to
actually.
do.
Leno was amazing that game. I actually watched that.
Mm.
But they were popping loads of shots from outside the goal, outside the box. They couldn't really get inside it, but that's
And
Everton. No
yeah, but
attack.
unfortunately, like that's Ramsdale's one of Ramsdale's weak points, isn't it?
Mm.
The long shots or shots being taken from distance. And if we have a look at their starting lineup over here, first game of the season, they've got Neil Mopai up front, Decore standing just behind him, in midfield, Anana and Gay. Iwobi's gone now, so
I
it'll be
think they
someone
got
else.
Calvert-Lewin back as well.
Okay.
I think he's
Got
back from
James
injury.
Garner. Yeah. Tarkovsky and Keane, very physical centre backs. Patterson and Young. I mean, I don't know how this guy manages to survive. He's 38. He surely has to go down as one of the Premier League greats.
He's
For
like Gareth
managing to
Barry, just keeps
survive.
going.
I know, it's crazy, right? And then Pickford in goal. So that's the first game. And, to be fair to them, they played against quite a tough looking Fulham who had a pretty good season
They
last
look
season,
alright,
which
yeah.
is obviously gone. But yeah, just quickly moving on to the next game then. They then lost, where they got battered to Aston Villa, who
Yeah.
are flying this season. Um, let's have a look at the
I
stats.
watched that game. They were on it.
So you can see here that they were pretty much dominated in all areas of the pitch. And again, another game where they're second in possession, still managing to get 9 shots, but only 2 on target. So again, that suggest that maybe a lot of those were from distance? Maybe they're just really shit at taking
The
shots. Um,
one thing I remember the most from that game is the fouls, because Aston Villa were moving the ball so quick.
mhm.
It was so. I just remember they completely ripped them apart. They moved the ball so quick that they drew so many fouls, and even just like quick ones. And I think they scored one of their. I think it was the opening goal. It was from a set piece. I can't remember. It came off it, and it set it all up. It wasn't a direct from it, but it set it up. And they were moving the ball so quick. It was literally like they were getting the ball off on their back, passing it
Mm,
quickly to the outside, and then they were drawing fouls from there. That's how they got
okay,
them.
nice. Well, very okay. I guess a counter-attacking sort of strategy for this game, which didn't work, ended up losing 4-0. And again, if we have a look at their starting lineup this time around, a little bit different. You've got Calvert-Lewin leading the line, and behind him, the three sort of midfielders that are, I think, on show regularly, and this is their three, isn't it? With
Mm.
Gay playing as the holding, Onana and Decore. I remember when we played them last season, and these three they were like electric. I don't know if Gay featured, but definitely Decore and Onana were just ridiculous, so physical and so like
Hmm.
dominant. Garner again, Iwobi's obviously not there, and then the same back four as the first game of the season, and they were up against quite a very tough looking Villa side as well. Watkins, Diaby, Bailey, Kamara, Louise, Konsa, Digne, Torres, Cash. That's a very decent Premier League side. It will be quite interesting to do a nice breakdown of them when we get to that game, when we eventually have to play them. And then they lost narrowly to Wolves. So let's have a quick look at the stats on that game. Again, look, 15 shots, 7 on target, 46% possession. So this game was a little bit more closer. 406 passes completed to 472.
If I remember
And again,
right,
it
there,
looks
the
like
Wolves game wasn't it a lot like a late goal that they scored that got because it was a very very
it was.
even game. If
Yeah.
anything, I remember Everton were sort of being were the better team really, and it was sort of right to death that they
Yeah.
conceded.
And again, Wolves are another side who first game of the season, who they played against United, didn't they? They deserved
Yeah, they deserved a point at
to
least.
a point at least from that game, and they're another team who've kind of they look a little bit rejuvenated from last season. So starting lineup, Groneveld, is that how you say his name?
I couldn't tell you.
So
Honestly, I don't know the
Groneveld,
players. They waste so much money.
yeah,
I'm gonna go
yeah. I mean,
Groenewald.
it's really weird, isn't it? This starting lineup, but it worked sort of. I mean, they lost the game, but because they didn't get battered. Patterson, Tarkovsky this way, Branthwaite playing instead of Keane, and then Ashley Young at the back. And then again, look,
See,
Gay,
Calvert-Lewin
Decore,
had to come out
Onana.
for that game if I remember. Like he wasn't on. He wasn't even in the bench. Yeah,
Yeah, we should have
because
had a look at their bench
yeah,
actually.
I remember reading an article for like fantasy football, and it was like, oh, he's not in it.
Mm. So quite a little bit similar. I mean, they've replaced Iwobi with Dobin, and again it's the same. Ghana continues to play third game in a row. These three again, and then Groneveld, and finally against Sheffield United. This was a really good game. I
Yeah, it
remember
was.
watching this. This was very like um full-blooded almost end-to-end stuff. 16 shots, 6 on target, and 55% possession, so they dominated that game. Unfortunately, they just weren't clinical enough. And if we have a look at their lineup, they decided to switch things up a little bit more. Um, Tarkovsky, Branthwaite, again continuing from the previous game. Patterson playing as a right back. Wow, weird. And then Young playing as the left back. Their midfield again, the three in the middle. Beto, I don't know who that is. Is he new? Is he just signed for them? I couldn't
Not
tell you.
sure.
But let's have a look at transfer marked, and it seems like he signed for them on the 29th of August
Who did he come from?
from Udinese.
Udinese,
Uh
Fez, Serie A.
yeah, Serie A. And if we have a look at his Serie A statistics, what does it say? Not much. Am I looking at it in the wrong year? Do I need to change the year? Um,
You might
Hold
need
on
to
a minute.
go to view full stats. Go up, go up, go up.
Where is that?
See the
Ah, here.
little icon, yeah, and then you go to like the season.
There
Go.
we go. So 22-23 is what we want to see. And if this is good news, then we should be worried, but it's not good news for them because 10 goals in 34 games is not horrendous, but it's not great. So I don't think we need to worry too much about Beto.
I think
But
with
then again,
Everton, the
these
strikers aren't
players,
even the issue. It's more the supply. If you ever watch Everton play, they are so isolated. It's very much like
mm,
who was it? I was watching. It's actually an international game. I don't know if you watched the England Scotland game with like Che Adams. He couldn't
yeah,
get a sniff of the ball. I remember there was a time I think it wasn't McTominay or McGinn. I think it was McGinn. He received the ball in a turned, looked inside to see if anyone was there. No one there. There was literally just Che Adams covered by three man. That's Everton's
mm,
story. They have no wingers. No one gets forward. They all sit back because they're supposed to be an organised defensive unit. And yeah, when they do go forward, they either like overcommit and they get completely ripped on the counter. That's what Aston Villa did to them. They like overcommitted. They gave them like false sense of security and just like bang, and they were just so quick. But yeah, they got no wing. They got no supply.
mm.
So I'm not
So
somewhat worried by their centre forwards at all.
yeah. If we just have a look at their bench very quickly, Mikalenko didn't start. Did Godfrey start? I can't remember if Godfrey started. McNeil, I'm really surprised that McNeil didn't start
I
because he's
like
one of
McNeil.
their, yeah, I really like him as well, and I think he's one of their strongest players. So having seen and just quickly gone through their first opening four games, and maybe it's interesting. It might be interesting to see what they've got coming up actually. So they've got, it's not going to be as congested, but the next two games, um, home to us and then away to Brentford.
It's
Um,
tough.
back again at the league to Villa this time in the League Cup,
It's a Villa
and
power.
then Luton at home. So next four
Relegation
games,
battle. That Luton game's
yeah,
going to be important for them.
huge, huge. So let's talk about the game coming up with us and what to sort of expect from Everton if we are talking about their strengths. Let me just stop sharing the screen. If we're talking about their strengths and
Mm.
what we should be worried by, um, we know that they take a lot of shots. They generate a lot of shots. Judging by those first four games, we know that they can hold the ball. It's not as if, I mean, other than Villa, they weren't really outplayed off the park in terms of possession. But what are we looking at in terms of their strengths? What do you think their biggest strengths is?
Well, it's definitely the 50-50 duels. They're a strong, tall, imposing team. So they can definitely threat on that. And the one thing I think ones to note for, and one that we lack a little bit nowadays, set pieces. Because they're such a tall, imposing team, every corner is dangerous. Every free kick is dangerous. Every opportunity they get to put it in the box, in the air, it's dangerous. But saying that, we do have a tall centre back line. Just Arsenal's team is just genuinely quite tall. But it's whether they're going to be on it that day. So we need to make sure that we are sort of as a unit organised and communicate well. Pick up your man and don't leave sort of a loose man, because what they'll probably do is over congest the box and then draw a man out last minute, and then he's wide open. So we need to make sure we're tracking that. Um, yeah, it's going to be physical. It's definitely going to be physical. You know, it's going to be physical. It's going to be at Goodison Park. It's going to be loud. It's going to be raucous. Fans going to be on it. And it's going to be a very tight game in those sort of 50-50 balls, the playing off the player. Ramsdale's goal kicks, they're going to contest everyone in the air. So that's why I was saying at the start, sort of, I don't think Vieira should start this game. I do think we need Havertz's size. I know I'm probably going to get ridiculed. Havertz is this, Havertz is that. It's just, you've got to play the game. You've got to play the game that's in front of you. If this was, say, Luton Town, by all means play Vieira. I think he'll pick them apart. But Everton, teams like Burnley, even like Brentford, like they're physical teams. So you need those tall players. Apart from that, I don't really see much else. I have watched Everton this season, and I'm just gonna say they've been awful. They've been absolutely disconjointed, and the main thing is they got no supply. The only times they've like scored their goals have been on like big break counter attacks, where they've luckily had two or three people forward or set piece, off a set piece.
Mm. I have to say I don't think we've seen the best version of Everton this season yet in terms of their starting lineup. I think they're still figuring it out because I'm just having a look at their squad now. Should I put this on the screen? Maybe I should. Um, to have a bit more of a fruitful discussion. So if we just have a look at their makeup, you can see their forward line: Calvert-Lewin, Dan Juma, Beto. Those three are probably the three who are going to be featuring the most, especially Danjuma, who I think
Mm-hmm.
is a really good player, a very decent player. He was just unfortunate not to get enough game time at Spurs, and actually he's
Yeah.
already shown signs at Everton that he's half decent. He can come off the bench and he can cause a few problems. Calvert-Lewin is still kind of recovering from that injury or that recurring injury he keeps having, and Beto we're yet to find out more about. But those three definitely have their strengths. They've got pace, they've got power,
Yeah.
and they've got aerial presence as well with Calvert-Lewin. Move further down, and we were talking about where the game's going to be won or where they're going to be posing a threat, and it will be those 50-50s. And those 50-50s will come in midfield, and they've got
Yeah.
some very strong physical midfielders. Idrissa Gueye, who I very much liken to, and sometimes compare him to, don't kill me for saying this, but he gives me like N'Golo Kante sort of
Mm.
vibes. I see the same similar traits, very energetic, very agile on the ball as well. Not as great as Kante, but a decent footballer. Onana, who has been quite big for them, and Decore as well.
It's
Now,
been
if
amazing.
those two manage to somehow, pull out a good performance, just arrive at the game
Like
with,
party against United.
yeah, yeah, and actually, with Everton, they do have kind of two parties in Onana and Decore. Again, if they have a good game, they're brilliant, but they're just not consistent enough.
Mm.
Decore is very physical. Onana is very like he's very chaotic, and I love
Mm.
how intense he is. Always, just always running, always constantly on your
Yeah.
heels. But then they've got a mix of like good technical players as well, like Andre Gomez, Dwight McNeil, Jack Harrison is half decent. James Garner as well, Deli Ali, who is Deli Ali, but I think we're still waiting for the resurgence of him. So that midfield is quite strong if they're able to just play to their strengths, which is,
Hmm.
and I think we're all expecting to see Onana, Gay, and Decore. And then their backline, again, half decent defenders, not the greatest. So Tarkovsky at Burnley was brilliant, and it's a shame that he didn't get a big move because I think he's a really good defender. Ben Godfrey. Don't really like him. Michael Keane is very experienced. Ashley Young will probably continue to play, but they've got young players as well, like Nathan Patterson, who's pretty good. Mikalenko as well, who can do a job. But I think their weakness is in their defensive half of the pitch. When they're overwhelmed, they seem to just fall apart. Whereas Arsenal, on the other hand, we're like a unit. Doesn't matter how much you throw at us, we're like very stubborn. We just stick to our shape really well.
Hmm.
And Pickford as well, who's already scored an own goal, the fashion that he usually does. So yeah, when we're looking at their starting lineup, who do you think is their MVP?
It's Decore because he can score, he can defend.
Mm.
He is like their party. He's definitely their party. I mean, I'd say the strongest asset Decore is the way that he can one protect the ball on a turn. He can steal the ball from the opposition like that. He's like a Declan Rice. He can just come in and poach it, and he can shoot from far. He's got a wicked right foot on him. So um, he
Look, this is his heat map,
yeah,
and
honestly,
you can
he
tell.
he is a machine. I rate Corey. Honestly, I really rate him as a player. I think he's a brilliant midfielder. Um, the only thing I will say is that he can hold out a leg. But he's a lot better at now. I remember last season he used to draw a few fouls. I'm not too sure with this season, but he used to draw a few fouls. So if you're a bit smart, bit and quick, that's the main thing. As long as you're really sharp, you can draw them out. Um, but no, he's 100%. He's their MVP. It's not Dominic Calvert-Lewin. It's not Pickford. It's Decore. If Corey
Yeah,
has a good game, Everton have a good game.
and he's already got an average sofa score rating of 7. He was given a 7.6 against Sheffield United, a 7.4 against Wolves. So the last two games, pretty
But that
good.
Wolves
I mean,
game, they should
obviously
have won
six.
it. They should have won it. They were very wasteful, very wasteful.
Mm. And that seems to be the issue with a team like Everton, who don't have a consistent striker up front who can score goals, who can take the chances. Do you think we need to, with someone like Decore and actually just their midfield in general, do you think we need to maybe like draw them into situations where they could potentially get yellow cards?
100%,
Almost try and play the dark arts a little bit.
100%. I mean, everyone at Everton's, I'd say, weaknesses are avoiding individual errors. That's the thing I've noticed the most. They like a good foul. They like a good foul. They are a physical team. It's Sean Dyche football. So if you can draw them and you keep on the yellow, then they have to play conservative the rest of the time. Um, I think the main thing for us is get that Havertz and Rice to double up on him. If you can isolate the Toure, you completely stop Everton because then what they do, they'll be forced. I think Everton are not they're not the highest, but I think they're in the top five, top six for the offsides per game because it's Sean Dyche football. You know what it's like. It's go long
Hmm.
down to the wing, cross into the box. That is what they do. That is what they do. So if you can stop them getting into midfield to have a more accurate pass to the wing or up to their striker, they are forced to do the long ball. And I would say our back line is one of the best at an offside trap. Um,
Yeah.
and we can completely just obliterate them doing that. We can just shut off any supply as long as you double up on Decore, stop him receiving the ball, and force sort of like the Wraitham White and Patterson and all them to do the long balls up the top. I have confidence in Ben White because and their main attack is through their left, so it'll be Ben White will be busy that game. But I've got faith in Ben White. I think he'll be fine. I'm not too concerned with him. I don't know if it's going to be it'll probably be Zinchenko as well. If Zinchenko adds that extra body in midfield and we're quick, I think it's a good game. But the only thing that's going to be against us is the atmosphere. The atmosphere in Goodison is going to be raucous.
Hmm. Of the three players here, the three forwards, who do you think we're gonna see feature? Because
Better.
Danjuma's already he scored twice in the last two games.
Mhm.
Beto has also scored in the cup. Um, Calvert-Lewin, I don't know whether he's available or not. I think
I
he should
think
be
he's
right.
still got a niggle. I think he's still out.
Okay, so
I,
it'll be between these two then.
I think you'll see Beto. I think you'll get him because I mean they brought him in as players to come in and and win for them. He's fast, so I think they'll bring him in. I mean, they could use Danjuma, but they're gonna be going down to long balls, so they need someone who's a little bit taller. Because 194 centimeters, he's a tall lad.
Mm.
So they're going to need that height against Saliba and Gabriel. Whereas I'm pretty sure Dan Juma's only like 5'11" or not even 6 foot. So yeah, they need that. They need that height advantage just in general. Someone who can sort of hold up play. So I'd be surprised if they didn't play him. Um, but
Well,
hey,
in the
I'm not
last,
sure.
I don't know, 6 months, he's had his best performance against Sheffield United with a 7.5 rating, which is good for them. And it seems like, yeah, tall lad, seems to be quite physical as well, which suits Sean Dyche to a T. If we just go back and have a look at Danjuma, who I think will definitely feature at some point in the
Yeah,
game.
look, C178 is not that. It's not got the height.
Yeah,
Saliba will eat him alive.
but maybe we will see him play on the right on the left hand side because if we look at his heat map, he's predominantly featured on the left hand side. Maybe Everton go for a front three of him with Beto playing in the middle and maybe I don't
Got
know who
McNeil in
else.
there.
Yeah, McNeil on the right hand side could throw a curveball. If I'm Arteta, I'm probably preparing for a sole striker up front with long balls being pelted down the pitch, and with Decore and Beto up there winning those aerial duels. Would you say? I mean, I know you said that Arsenal's strengths, or we're one of the best sides at playing the offside trap. But do you think we're comfortable enough right now to deal with long balls going in behind? Something about us and long balls just worry me a little bit. I feel like
Mm.
because our line is so high, it's such an aggressive high line, we're we're almost inviting the opposition to go for that approach because we don't want them to play the ball on the pitch. It almost seems like Arteta is saying we would rather them play long balls over the top than try any other approach because we're more than capable of handling
100%.
um, that kind of output. But there's always a risk, isn't it, that when if you're not perfect with that offside line, as we saw against United,
Hmm.
it can go the other way. And when it does go the other way, it's incredibly difficult to get back into a game where, especially when you're at Goodison Park, when you're playing against a really physical side, yeah, it can get a little bit um,
Get on
worrying.
top of you. Yeah. No, I think with at the start of the season when we weren't playing Gabriel, 100%, 100%, the long balls were worrying me. But when you've got Gabriel and Saliba in there, they're so good. They are so just they got it. They've got it. Um, and Saliba, he's actually really quick. He's really quick, and they play the line really smartly. I think Ramsdale will need to be active this game. I think he's going to need to play that sweeper keeper role, and make sure he just sort of just takes the ball, just runs up, takes the ball, and passes it to the opposite player. Because obviously there's going to be two centre backs that he's going to be running through the channel. If he runs in the middle, then well he's going to pick anyone. But if he comes through from one channel, he just goes to the other. So I think Ramsdale's going to have to be active this game. The offside trap, I definitely think is the best way to go because those long balls are inevitable. Sean Dyche, long balls, inevitable. So I think we can draw them out off a lot. Saliba, I've got a lot of faith in. And they're just him and Gabriel, the communication they've got is amazing. I'll be very disappointed if Arteta plays sort of Ben White and Saliba in centre, or he plays Kivior. We don't need that. We need the rock solid, steadfast, tall, imposing, physical Gabriel and Saliba, especially for the set pieces, because if we if we give them a foul, right, this is how I go into it. If I'm Arteta, I'm telling them, don't you dare foul. Don't you dare foul because Everton's one of their strongest assets are their set pieces. That is what they look for because they're a tall, strong team. I would say let them try and beat you. Let them try and get past you and work their way around. They don't have the quality to do it. I genuinely don't think they have the intricacy and the chemistry within the squad to be able to break pass. But if you give them a foul, even from like 35 yards out, 45 yards out, that's dangerous because they can just whip it in the box, and they've got good people, they've got people who can deliver the ball. They can put it into the back post, front post, a cheeky little nod on, and that's when it gets dangerous. So for me, from an Arsenal perspective, I'd be telling my players, don't go and press them, keep them under pressure, don't put the leg out. If they get past you, they get past you. Someone else will be there. Don't stick a leg out. Don't draw unnecessary fouls. Let them try and outplay you. And I genuinely think if we can do that and keep our heads, I genuinely think we walk away from this game like 3-4-0.
Mm. Just on starting lineups, I guess it's a good segue point to
Mm-hmm.
try and predict or have a conversation about what we're going to be looking like against Everton because um, the next few games are really significant for Arsenal in the sense that we're back in the Champions League. The North London derby is a week after Everton, followed by a tie away to Brentford in the League Cup. And say what you will about the League Cup, it's a competition, and I personally, for one, want to see Arsenal be more competitive in all the domestic cups. And we've got Bournemouth away, and then after that, you've got Lens away, City at home, Chelsea away, Sevilla at home, um, and it doesn't really get any easier. I mean, no game is going to be easy or straightforward for Arsenal this season, especially when you consider that the fact that we're going for a league title, we're trying to be
Mm-hmm.
as competitive as possible, and I feel like the Champions League is such a significant. It doesn't matter whether we're playing Lens or whether it's Sevilla. It doesn't matter that we've got a really seems like we've got a really favourable, you know, uh, what do you call it, group stage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what do
You
you
got
think
to get what's
Arteta's
in
going to
front of you.
go for? Yeah, well, what do you think? Because if we're playing every 3 days, he's going to have to manage the squad. Now we don't have a gigantic squad, but
Mm-hmm.
we have enough in there to rotate. So who do you go for against Everton? Do you play a strong side against Everton and then a slightly weaker side against PSV?
I think he'll do a bit of mix and match. I think Eddie starts. I don't think Ezra starts yet. I don't think he wants to risk him. Um, I've heard there's talks that apparently Saka's got a little bit of a niggle. Um, and maybe Nelson comes in. Um, Apart from that, I can see it just being a strong lineup. I don't think Arteta takes any game lightly. That's just him as a character. So I can see the midfield being sort of Rice, Havertz, and Erdegaard. Backline, I can be in Zinchenko, Gabriel, Saliba, and Ben White. I think the bench will look a lot different now. I think he might try and bring in um, some young players. Um, it depending on the situation in the game. If we start going ahead, front and head, I think he'll try and get them some minutes because Everton away is a very good game to get experience from. It's going to be
Mm.
raucous. They're going to get in your, they're going to be in your ear. They're going to be chatting. The fans are going to be bickering at you. It's a very good game to get some experience in, and it's a good segue and a good lead up to Champions League nights. And I can see against PSV again, solid team. Um, I don't think Arteta's going to take any game in the Champions League lightly this year, and I don't blame him because it's the Champions League. We need to make a statement this year that we're back.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult for Arteta to pick um, or to balance the starting lineup because despite it being PSV, this is the first game of the Champions League since like I can't remember the last game and the last time we were in the competition.
Mm.
So it doesn't matter who the opposition is, we have to play a
Was it
strong
AC
starting lineup
Milan
against
that we
PSV.
lost against our last game? Is it AC
Again,
Milan or was it Bayern?
I couldn't tell you because I can't remember. That's how long ago.
Yeah,
It was like 5 years ago, right?
I think it was AC Milan. I think was it because we had a bit of a streak where we kept playing AC Milan for some reason. Like they would beat us one year, we beat them the next year. Then I think they beat us. Was it? I can't
I
remember.
don't know. I
Yeah, it was
can't
like
tell.
6 years ago now.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna kill me if I don't find out. Arsenal
It was
champions,
either Bayern Munich or AC Milan, I'm pretty sure.
Champions League last game. It was. Why doesn't it show me?
What should be something even
Um,
worse than that?
Say that again.
What should be like some crazy team that like we just got beat by? We're like, wow. And then we
Yeah,
had to deal with Aubameyang and bloody
Bayern. Yeah, it was
Olympiacos.
Bayern.
It was Bayern, yeah.
Yeah, not very fond memories. 5-1 and 5-1. Wow,
Yeah, that was a
those
10-2.
were the good old days.
Mm.
Um,
Look at that lineup
um,
though. Literally look at the lineup we played against them. Chaos. Wow, how far we have come.
Let me have a quick look
It's
at
just gonna
the.
make you laugh the second we see it. The only good player there was
Wait,
that Mesut
I
Ozil.
I can only imagine what that was like.
We didn't even have
Uh,
Aubameyang then
right. Oh, this is the first leg. Let's go to the second leg where we got absolutely hammered at home.
at home.
And Ospina,
Exactly, bro.
Mustafi.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? That back four though was pretty decent. On their day, they were pretty good. Like Monreal was solid. Koscielny was,
Monreal was our most reliable player on that team.
yeah. Do you think so? I think Koscielny was
Koscielny,
really
yeah,
reliable as
yeah,
well.
Koscielny was good, but Monreal, I will never forget him for the FA Cup goal.
Yeah, yeah. Mustafi. Well, we know what happened with Mustafi.
Yeah.
Bellerin was half decent back then, I think.
Mm,
Well, actually,
yeah.
no. He just came back from his ACL then, didn't
That
he?
was just came back. Yeah,
Uh,
he wasn't the same.
Shaka. Unfortunately, we know what happened to Shaka back then. Ramsey, Chamberlain, Sanchez, Walcott, Giroud. Not a bad front line at all. Not
Walcott,
a bad front line.
That was Twilight. Walcott though,
Yeah.
that wasn't the prime Walcott.
No, it wasn't.
Sanchez,
And then
unreal, but there was
yeah,
no, yeah,
we
without Özil,
we were playing against a side that had Lewandowski, Ribery, Thiago, Robben, Vidal,
Jesus,
Alonso.
oh my
There
God,
was
like
no
we
chance.
weren't serious, man. We were not
Yeah, there was
serious.
no chance.
It was
No
crazy,
chance.
man. Bayern Munich always have a stacked squad.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well,
I say
you're
bring them
saying
back.
that
I said bring them back. We're gonna pipe them this time.
you're saying we're going to play a slightly stronger side against Everton. I tend to agree. I think that the Premier League has to be the competition that
Premier League.
we prioritize. It has to be. It has to be always, the strongest side and the side that's most capable to get the 3 points. Um, of all the free league games, though, Everton away is difficult. Spurs at home. That I mean, that North London derby is big. It's as
Yeah,
big as it really gets because they've turned a corner, haven't they, a little
big
bit
and.
with Postecoglou coming in and changing things around, selling Harry Kane, but
Do you know what? That's one
sort
thing
of
I like about Spurs at the moment, and I know it's mad to say, but I do like that chant about Ange. Their manager chant. Do you know what? I'll give them that. I'll give them that. That's a good chant.
yeah, I haven't heard it. Maybe I'll Google it afterwards.
Honestly, Google it. It's funny. It's like you can keep your Mourinho. Like it's just honestly, it's quality. We've got big Ange instead.
I cannot wait to see his
Mourinho.
downfall. His
Oh,
eventual downfall will happen in the next 6 months.
yeah,
Is
mate. If
the
anything
ticking
though,
time bomb is
they're playing better without Kane.
They are, yeah. And
Whoa.
Richarlison scores for Brazil as well, so that's a big game. That's a very, very big game, and I think Arteta will have an eye on that for sure going into Everton. It'll be interesting to see actually what Arteta does at Everton because there are a few players who we tend to play on the bench who did quite well during the internationals. I mean, we had a look at Trossard's goal. We saw
Mate, that
Tomiyasu.
Trossard goal was crazy.
Yeah,
Just ran
ridiculous. That
through
was
Estonia.
crazy, just unbelievable. And
Just
the shot as well. It was like half chip, half shot, half power. Really weird.
yeah, it's crazy.
Kivior scores as well. I think did he score? I think Kivior
I
did
don't
score for
know.
Poland.
I don't know. I didn't see it.
He either scored for Poland or he had a really good game. But we know,
Erdogan's goal was naughty as well.
yeah. So Odegaard. I mean, but we know Odegaard will start. So Tomiyasu had a really good game for a really good
He did. He
international
was
for
solid for Japan.
Japan. I didn't
Was he
see.
centre back?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's normally centre back for Japan.
and he was solid. And so you know what? I really want to see Trossard start against Everton, and I really want to see Tommy start against Everton. I think with his physicality, it will
Mm-hmm.
help us.
What over Zinchenko?
Yeah, over Zinchenko, I think Tommy, because Zinchenko is necessary to play the intricate football
What
in
me
order
attack?
to,
Yeah.
yeah, to just build up. Whereas against Everton, I feel like it's going to be such a physical game. We're not going to have time to be able to build up play,
If only
to,
remembers, if we have
knock the ball
Tomiyasu,
around.
what's our average height for the back line? It must be like 6'4",
Yeah.
6'3", because Tommy's like 6'3", Ben White's 6'3", I think. Saliba's like 6'2", Gabriel's like 6'3", Ramsdale's like 6'4".
Mm,
That's great. That's a big. That's what you want. That's what you want in the corners. That's what you want because
yeah.
Zinchenko's quite short, isn't he? He's only like 5'11". I say short, but I think he's only like 5'11",
Yeah,
5'10".
no, he's not great in the air, and he's not that solid at defending either. I think one on
Yeah,
ones he gets skinned on. He's been skinned on in a
yeah,
few occasions, and
yeah.
yeah, I just think if it's not necessary, don't play Zinchenko. Put him back in the Champions League and against Spurs. Okay, time to wrap it up. We've entered that time of the show again where we must say goodbye. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's watched up until this point. Thank you very, very much. If you did enjoy this, the first of, I was going to say episode. It's not really an episode, is it? It's the first
The inaugural,
show. Yeah, the pilot,
the
the
pilot.
pilot episode of this show. Make sure to like the video, drop us a comment to let us know whether you agree with our thoughts about the starting lineup, about Everton fans. If you feel like we were a little bit unfair, let us know. Make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. And as always, we will be back for the podcast show, the Arsenal Therapy podcast, which will be recorded following the Everton game on Sunday. And of course, we will be back for the 15-minute show next Tuesday, where Adam and Monty will take you through all the latest bits of Arsenal news. It's Tuesday morning and Friday evening. Hopefully, next Friday evening, we'll be back. Might be a morning show, depending on sort of availability. But yeah, we'll be back to look at our next victims. Until then, take care. Have yourselves a lovely weekend, and we'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much. Bye bye.